So as I continue my Mission Impossible rewatch, we get to Mission Impossible 2, which I have never seen before till now. And I do have to say, it's definitely not as bad as people make it out to be. So Mission Impossible 2, also known as MI2, came out in the year 2000, directed by John Woo, who was known for doing a lot of Hong Kong action movies and stuff. So he came over here and led this film. And I do have to say, right from, well, maybe not quite the beginning, but it is a very noticeable style difference. So let's talk about the summary real quick, give you a little synopsis. And for those of you who've never seen it before, you can end right there, go check this film out, and come back, because after that we're going to talk about this in all sorts of spoilery goodness. So here's your synopsis pretty much. Ethan Hunt, aka Tom Cruise, he is charged with trying to stop and retrieve this virus known as the Chimera virus for the IMF, but along the way he has to recruit a thief, get a team together, and he has to go up against a rogue IMF agent who's out to sell the virus for money. And that's your plot. So yes, a very simple story, but what it lacks in super expansive story, it makes up for in crazy action sequences, which they pretty much double from the previous film. So Tom Cruise is back as Ethan Hunt, an IMF agent who's just trying to go out and have a nice vacation, but of course he's still found by his agency, who weirdly sends him a pair of sunglasses to start things off. And from the moment he throws his sunglasses, I knew we were kind of in for something maybe a little extra cheesy, a very, very early 2000s kind of movie. But I do like the way this film opens. It opens actually before that on the airplane sequence where you think it's Ethan Hunt helping transport this scientist who's come up with the Chimera virus, but it's secretly a rogue IMF agent played by Dougray Scott as Sean Ambrose. And I already said it in the last review, I love the face reveal stuff, and I dug the face reveal thing there. I was kind of like, oh, okay, wow, we're off to a great start, because I was a little concerned that Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt would just snap somebody's neck silently, I might add. I thought that was a weird thing. Like when he did the neck snap, there was no sound effect. It was just it was probably the only silent neck snap in cinema history. So anyway, back to Tom Cruise, who now has to put a team together, starting with a thief, for some reason, who has ties to this IMF agent that they're after. So he recruits her in a weird, long, roundabout way of getting her in there. There's a car chase and weird sexual tension. Will they, won't they? Never mind, they do. They pretty much seal the deal at one point. Then he's got to get the rest of his team together and essentially infiltrate this IMF agent, get evidence on him, and figure out how to get this virus back. And I'm not gonna lie, a little bored during this film, not gonna lie. As much as I don't hate this film, I'm gonna say that right off the bat too, I don't hate this film, but I was bored and kind of checking my watch a little bit, because it wasn't as interesting as it could have been. But when the action scenes hit, that's when your interest gets re-engaged, or at least mine did. It just seemed like it was a step down from the previous film, just in terms of interesting, engaging story. So that's a big negative. Nothing against the actor who played Ambrose, but because I thought he was actually a really good villain in this. I thought, every scene he was in, he chewed up the scenery, and I didn't mind that at all whatsoever. The girl who plays Naya, who's the thief, is Thandiwe Newton. Name I'm definitely not familiar with. She didn't look familiar when I saw her in the film, but I thought she was pretty good in this. And of course, Ving Rhames comes back as Luther. I thought he's great as always. Then you got John Polson as Billy Baird, who's like the airplane pilot they have helping him, and I don't know why they always need like a pilot or a helicopter pilot to help them out for some of these missions, other than, of course, a helicopter gets involved at some point. But the dude he was one of the most annoying characters in the film, and that's probably my least favorite part about this whole movie, is his character just being so annoying at times. It was got on my nerves quite a bit. And it was weird to see Brendan Gleeson in this. Brendan Gleeson, big time actor, in this little role. I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, Brendan Gleeson's here. That's kind of cool. And then, of course, an uncredited role for Sir Anthony Hopkins, who kind of plays the IMF. Not the director. He's kind of like one of those people that just hand you your mission. So they had him show up to hand out the mission to Tom Cruise. He's in the movie for like 2 minutes. So there you go, Sir Anthony Hopkins, everybody. I guess let's get to the action scene. As great as I think some of the action is, somewhere between the first movie and this one, besides Tom Cruise growing his hair out, Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt is just learned a whole weird fighting style that I don't think he employs in any of the other movies. He's doing a lot of flips. He's doing a lot of kicks. He's just doing so much stuff that I'm just like, this feels like a whole different Mission Impossible universe than the previous one, which isn't a bad thing. It just didn't jive with my Mission Impossible sensibilities. And having seen all the other Mission Impossibles, this one is definitely sticking out like a sore thumb, just in terms of John Woo's style of directing. With, there's a lot of scenes where he like kind of recuts the same part over and over to emphasize, different angles, like with the motorcycle jump at the end, and then like there's some car chase stuff. And Tom Cruise is doing some weird stunts that I'm just like, I don't think Ethan Hunt would do this. He definitely wouldn't do this later on, but he a little more reckless than he even from the first one, where I thought he was maybe a little reckless, but he's still kind of cool head about himself. And this one, he's just like, he's out here to murder people. And that was about it. It was a weird change of character for Ethan Hunt. And I know he gets back on track in subsequent movies, but it was just so weird. It's such a weird thing for this movie, because I didn't hate the style. I just know it didn't fit my sensibilities for what Mission Impossible is. So this was a little jarring, but like I said, I don't hate it. I know there's people out there who say this is the worst Mission Impossible film, which, granted, I can't disagree with that, but I also don't think it's terrible as as bad as people make it out to be. It's just got a different vibe. It's got a different energy to it, which is fine. It just definitely, like I said, clashes with my sensibilities for what I kind of feel like Mission Impossible is and should be. But that's just me. But I mean, there's some good stuff in here, though. Even though the action gets a little over the top at times, I was still pretty impressed by some of it. John Woo had to throw in his doves, of course. You get some doves in there. A couple of points for some reason, other than it's like his signature thing, which, hey, whatever. I know it made it out of the poster, I believe. I don't know. This is something I'm probably not going to remember a whole lot from. And even going into this, the only bit I knew about it was the scene with the knife going up to the eye at the end of the film. And how I heard, well, it looks CG in the film, but I thought I heard the story about how they had it like connected to a rope, and they actually had a blade up to Tom Cruise's eye, because he's that kind of weirdo who loves to do real life stunts. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not going to look it up. I don't care, because in the movie I just thought it was weird. But yeah, so there's that. This is a very, very 2000s movie. That's all I could think about the whole time. I was just like, it only feels dated, well, minus some of the special effects, like the airplane at the beginning and a couple other random shots, but like, it just feels dated just based on the style and the music choice. Okay, so I loved the music in the first one. I didn't say that in my last review, but I do love the music of the Mission Impossible movies. And when I saw Hans Zimmer's name in the credits for this one, I was like super excited to get him doing the score here. But I missed the classic kind of theme that they traditionally do, because in this one it's just like they got a rock band. I know it's Hans Zimmer loves to do his rock music sometimes, but it's this heavy guitar and like for the whole stinking movie. And it did get old after a while. I'm not gonna lie, I missed kind of the classic theme. And as much as I love Hans Zimmer and he puts together a great score here, otherwise, like, yeah, just didn't fully work for me. But hey, that it is what it is. At the end of the day, I can't hate on this movie too much, because I still had a good time despite kind of nodding off here and there. But when it was firing on all cylinders, it was pretty entertaining fun. And I could see where people would think this would be a serviceable action film if they knew it wasn't connected to the Mission Impossible universe. But I think because we've got these 6 great films and hopefully a 7th great one on the way, there's kind of this idea and template for what a great Mission Impossible film is, and this one definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give it a solid B. Like, I definitely didn't hate it. It's a step down from the first film, and it's definitely nowhere near any of the other films that are down the line. So there's that. So what do you guys think? Do you guys like this film in the Mission Impossible franchise? Do you hate this film? Have you never seen it either? Like me, I didn't see this going into this review for this. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you could, please hit that like button, subscribe button, the little bell notification to be notified whenever I drop new videos. It would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, so 2 down, 4 to go. Man, I'm very excited for the next one. It's been a while since I've watched Mission Impossible 3. I remember it being very good, but it's been so long, and I mean, I've seen the other 3 after it more recently. So I'm very curious to see how this one holds up going back to it, because J.J. Abrams directed that one, so I'm excited to get back to that one. And until that review, guys, I'll be seeing you.